company, and he must to answer for your question,
Okay.
but he has not connection because it's rain now. Sometimes he is here, sometimes not.
Sure.
So yeah, Eugene actually did email us. He was like, "Am I still the first person of my country to become a member?" I was like, "Yes, you're good." So I did send him the information to become a member.
Oh, good.
So he just has to like answer the questions. Yeah, and then hopefully after that we can get to know you guys better. Perhaps get more members. Yeah. Hey, I forgot your name. Where do you get your gear from in Russia?
Please repeat your question because I am sorry. I must use translator, Google Translator. You speak very fast for me.
Where do you get your gear, your equipment from in Russia?
I am one from the Petzl team. I use gear from company Petzl.
Okay.
And I'm a cavers, and I use technique, single rope technique, European single rope technique for the trees. And I hope you will see video with this technique. And what? What? Who? Please repeat your question.
No, cool. Yeah, no, that was it. I'm just always wondering, like, because we have so many kind of big, online stores that sell whatever kind of like tree climbing gear. I'm just always wondering where people in other countries get their gear from, if they also have big stores or. And I was thinking about it in terms of the membership, right? Because you get a discount at one of the online stores here, but that might not be the cheapest way to get gear because it has to go overseas.
Yeah, that'd be difficult. But if they have Petzl there, Petzl got most of what you need. That's
true. Yeah, Petzl has some. Yeah.
And of course, my gear is a little different than in Canada or United States. I work in Canada, and maybe 1 month later, I will come back to Toronto. I have contract with company How Tree Climber, and I am just one who use this kind of gear. This is not typically for United States and Canada.
Okay.
And maybe we will discuss this technique. I hope maybe you will like it.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Thank you.
Yeah. Send us some pictures so we see what it is.
I think we must a little wait before Tim will finish the video and will send you.
Yeah.
I will ask him now.
So I have a little question. Like I gave a presentation last weekend. I talked about different kinds of trees that we have in California. And we have a lot of pine trees. California is in some ways like a country, even though it's just a state in the United States. So we have the second highest number of pine trees. And I ask people, what do you guess is the number one country of pine trees? Most people guess Russia. They think Russia is so big and it has mountains and pine trees.
Of species, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's a good guess, but it's wrong.
Yeah.
So, number one is Mexico.
Yeah, I was really surprised about that. But I guess it makes sense because I'm guessing like in Russia, from Denmark and the Netherlands, just like diversity gets lower and lower.
Right.
So even though there are lots of pine trees in Russia, they're probably just all like
there's the what do we call the Pinus sylvestris is the
yeah, we have the two in the Netherlands. I don't know.
It has a huge range. It's like United Kingdom and through Northern Europe and Russia.
Yeah. How do you call it again? I don't know how you call it.
Yeah, we actually call it, the common name is Scots pine. But that's just like one area it's from. It's from a lot of places.
Right. Yeah, we have that. And we have that definitely in the Netherlands. They can grow very like if they are in like open areas, like in the Netherlands and the Evelands, where you have like heather and then just a few pine trees, and then you have like all the room to like grow. We call them vliegdennen, which means like flying pine trees,
Okay.
basically, because like their branches go like just, you know, everywhere, and you get this crazy, and of course they always like have to deal with the wind. But you get these really beautiful pine trees if they're like allowed to grow in areas like that. And I'm pretty sure that's Pinus sylvestris, but yeah, those are nice ones.
You know, I mean, I love trees that have structure, that have room to spread and have taper. You know, I just talked to somebody yesterday, and they have a grant to plant what they call mini forest here in Berkeley, 3 of them. But it has to be very dense. You have to plant the trees super close. It's part of the a theory about how to get the most biomass in one area. So I understand that, you know, and then, but thinking from an arboriculture perspective, you want to give them room to spread and have lower branches. So what they want is just very, very dense biomass shooting up.
Right, shooting up, and then after several years, 5 or 10, they start thinning with thinning cycles.
Thinning, they can outcompete each other.
Yeah, that's how you get to need a lot of biomass, and you get very straight pine trees.
Right. Yeah, and that's what you always have for a tree farm for lumber. They want that because you get a lot of lumber where you get the same diameter going up the trunk.
Right. Yeah, I remember those lessons. Because like when I did study forest and nature conservation, but it was the first year that the university had like scrambled all their studies, so that like redesigned all the studies at the university. In the Netherlands, you know, studies are very specific. Normally you're not, you know, it's not like in the States where you go to university and then within 2 or 3 years, perhaps you have to like declare a major. You like go to the university and like, that's your major, that's what you're going to do. And you need to be proficient in everything. Otherwise they don't let you into society, you know, basically to do your job.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like Denmark. Yeah.
It's like Denmark. Yeah. It's really
like,
different.
But that's also like in Europe, high school goes a little bit later, covers a lot more.
Yes,
whereas in the United States, I think the first year of college is more like the last year of high school in Denmark.
Yes, that's how I feel as a you know, teacher at the university here, that you know these kids they have to take these mandatory science requirements, and it's only to make up for like, you know, high school not teaching them science basically. So, and it's just like very sad because they could be focusing on something else if high school
is too easy.
It's too easy. It's too focused on like extracurricular activities and stuff like that. But anyways, so they just scrambled the studies. But before that, the year before that, the study was still like forestry. So all my professors, or a lot of them, just came straight from forestry. So that was still like a big part of it. Like I remember having this whole like book on basically like economics, you know, like indeed calculating all these volumes and how to get the most money out of your forest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's like in my field, arboriculture is very different from forestry.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of people who have a background in forestry, and that totally influences their thinking.
Oh, interesting. I can see that.
It's based on production, and it's based on you know, like for example, so many years turnover, like you know, you grow this type of tree in this area for 30 years, and you cut them and you start over the next crop. And when you're talking arboriculture and you focus on the other benefits of trees, it's totally different.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. I can see how it's conflicting. I mean, and I found it conflicting because of course they had to do like to kind of teach us about all three, you know, production, forest for production, forest for conservation, and forest for recreation. You know, you want all three of those, and how to find that balance. But yeah, it was sometimes difficult to think about it because of course I was in it for conservation.
Right.
But then we still had to learn about like production, and it made sense because like if you think about a country as a whole, you can't just have forest for conservation if you keep using materials, you know, you need to produce as well.
Right.
But because but yeah, it was difficult too, because it's such a switch in your brain. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, fun times. So yeah, do we have any other questions for our friend online?
Yeah, are we still waiting for Eugene?
lost.
Oh.
We might have lost our connection to Russia.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, Evgeny write me that the very bad connection. He will try, but raining Adygea.
Oh, I see.
He write me poor connection because of the rainstorm.
Right.
Well, tell
And
him to
we-
stay in touch any which way when he can, and you guys all stay in touch, and email and Facebook and everything else. And hopefully we will see each other again online or even in person.
Oh, he's like texting me now. Wait, give me a second. Because we're Facebook friends.
Ah. Oh, okay, maybe I'll.
I'm Facebook friends with Eugene. Also with the Human Rights Organization. Let me see what's saying. He's typing. Is that how you spell his name? Like, I don't, it's probably like. Let's see what he's gonna say. He said, oh yeah, he says the same thing. I've got poor connection because of the rainstorm. I'm gonna say no worries. We are going to wait with Vicky. We are going to have one final video of all the camp outs at the end of October, right?
Yep, yep.
Oh, and then he's saying here's a link to our movie. So now he has a
cool.
link. Okay, wait, let's see what happens. Maybe we can play it. Oh, I see a lot of your pictures. You guys have such nice pictures. I can just go to your Facebook and show your pictures. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. Okay, let me see. Oh yeah, there it comes. Okay, let me see if what happens if I click it. Okay, I cannot read a single thing, but the play button is the same symbol, so that helps. Take over Russian. I'm gonna try to play it. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again and see what happens. I'm not sure if it needs to buffer or anything. Not sure how fast this will go. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
With Russian? Okay. Let's see what happens. Some green. What are those?
Вот он есть, просто искали, да? Правильно. Там вот есть, можно забить. Вот здесь.
Oh, nice.
привет! Всем привет! Как я сюда попал? Не очень, да. Очень.
Tree walkers, Russia.
Cool.
Very cool, right?
Yeah, great.
Even this, even this is like yellow, like pencil yellow. So what were you guys using? Hey, Judah's here. I haven't seen Judah forever. Oh, I got a call from you, but I forgot to answer. I'm not yet trying to find a job. Sorry. How is Judah doing? Anyways, that was a really nice video. And I want to know more, like, what was the technique, the SRT technique that we were talking about? Was it like a frog technique?
Maybe you will see little in the next video.
Okay.
Yes, this is, it was the technique of single rope technique, European single rope technique, how frog or no, different style, but not in this video, next video, I think.
Okay, I don't have another video, but then we'll wait for that.
Yes, I think we must little wait, sorry.
That's what, no, I mean, that's okay. You guys had so many nice videos in the past 2 weeks, or a week. So thank you.
Oh, Timothy is here. Maybe he will explain.
Okay.
Timothy.
Hello.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good.
Good. I just finished the video, and Evgeny is about to upload that, so we can hopefully we'll see that soon, because he will send you the link, and you can just download or play online.
Cool.
Having the chance, I'd like to thank you for this initiative. This is really fantastic opportunity for us to climb the trees and share the knowledge and experience and techniques and so whatever. The beautiful place, and I was really impressed. I've traveled the world with my camera and stuff, but that was a truly magnificent experience.
Yeah. I mean, it looks really beautiful. Like, what's the other? I didn't know you guys made a zip line. So did you?
Well, we made a zip line, but we used that not for climbing the tree, but just to traverse the river.
Right.
And just to have practice a little bit and how to do that in a quick manner. But the key thing was to climb the tree and then fix the platform and exchange the experience. So they helped me out. They lifted me up, because I'm not that experienced in the climbing the trees, but they're really gurus of that in Russia and globally. Right. So it was really was helpful for me, and I did my best just to shoot everything I could. I had like 3 cameras and plus a drone and the night stuff. You'll see that, and have a lovely time lapse, night time lapse. How the people are just moving, zipping through the tree, and finally we spent the night at the top. It was so fantastic experience. Yes, it's not just the hammock close to the bottom, but it was really high.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it all looks really nice. Yeah, I was thinking about the camera, so I was like, oh, he must have more than one camera, because there are all sorts of different shots going on. And what were those hammocks? Are those like Petzl, like?
No, there was Thermarest, really light, super light hammocks. Just you can Thermarest.
But those kind of like tents, basically, that they normally use for rock climbing?
It was just no, it was just the simple and light, really compact, lightweight camping hammocks. And in case of rain, you can use some tent on top of that, using the ropes as well. But we were lucky, and there was no rain that day, and in general it was really mild night. The moonlight, fire smoke, and the sounds of nature. It was fantastic, really fantastic. We were not deep in taiga, maybe 5 or 6 kilometers away from the nearest village, but still you're in quite a remote area. Not so many people live around, and not far away, like 10 kilometers away at the border of natural reserve. It's really clean and pristine nature out there. But unfortunately, and we wanted to stress this, that people are still cutting the trees around. And we saw some trucks moving the trees, and it's really, really frustrating, because the forests out there are so nice, and biodiversity. We met so many species, different birds, and the birds flying, migrating birds. They have stopped over there, and we saw hundreds of eagles flying above us. And it was a special period, migrating birds going over Caucasus Mountains. And it's really, really beautiful scene. So, I just discovered I have a video. Yeah, that's how.
Hi, it's nice to see your face.
Yeah, I thought my internet speed was not that good, but finally that's fine.
Good. Yeah, it's a really nice video. I mean, and that entire site that I think is really, really beautiful. Yeah.
And I have also the full-size camera, so I had lots of photos, and then some of them I inserted in this video, especially night. I love night photography, and with the light, you can technically paint whatever you want on the canopy and foliage. That's beautiful.
Right.
I've been shooting all night long, technically. So going back and forth.
Right. Really nice. So, and you said you also had a drone with you?
Yes.
What kind of drone are you using?
Actually, my hobby is the race drones, and I'm doing it myself with the high speeds. But for this particular trip, I took the regular DJI drone, just to be able to show you how big is the tree. I just climbed it up with the drone, so you can see that.
Like a DJI
Air.
Phantom?
No, the smaller one, Air. Mavic Air.
Oh yeah, Mavic.
The small one, but the full featured, but the small one.
Yeah, that one is good. I like that one.
Yeah, and you can easily travel with one.
Yeah,
it's small. Packable, small. Yeah, 3 batteries. That's fine. Well, yeah. But next time I'm going to take my full fleet with the race drones, because you can just go with a high speed along the canyon, which would be beautiful. With the GoPro on top of that. But I had no idea about the place and the topography, but now I'm pretty aware of that. And the next time we'll be there again for sure.
Yeah.
And
it's really nice. It's really nice. It's a really nice place. It reminds me a little bit of places, because I'm from Europe, I mean, the Netherlands is nothing like that, right? But it
Yeah.
reminds me a little bit of places like in the Czech Republic that I went to.
Oh yeah,
there.
quite similar because the Czech Republic geographically it's more or less the same. The climate zone, so the mild winters and just that's
Right.
pretty not so many coniferous trees, no pines, almost just leaves every, and the trees are huge, really
Right.
huge. Arc, it was like maybe
I saw those
25,
beaches at Oak.
30 meters,
Right.
maybe 200 plus years old, but we had no idea because we couldn't cut that, but looks like that, looks like.
Right. I mean, yeah, at some point you get good at estimating. Right. Are you guys gonna try to train more people and go with a larger group next time, like newbies, new people?
Yes, for sure. And I think Evgeny will definitely invite some people. We will bring some other newbies with us for sure. And because Evgeny, he's a more professional guide, and he's doing that all year round. So he will call out his more colleagues and friends, and we'll try to bring some our friends and families maybe, because this is a fantastic weekend to spend on top of the tree for everyone, including kids maybe. That would be really nice to take the kids next time.
Yeah.
Because it's not that dangerous if you do everything right.
I mean, if you just go up with kids, just DDRT, just double rope.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Simple as possible. They I don't know, like when we facilitate groups, they get it in 30 minutes. They're like, you're off, you know.
My friends just lifted me up, and I'm like 85, like a feather.
What did he have, like 5 pulleys or?
Yeah, maybe not 5, but I saw 3.
Okay, see, there you go. That helps a lot. The weight issues, that's funny. Smart though.
But they're professionals, and
yes.
Actually, we're supporting. I work for Petzl, for marketing of Petzl Russia, and we're supporting some not maybe the huge in terms of popularity, but actually such important branches of professional climbing.
Right.
It's really more connected to more environment in the end of the day, and it's more highly alert area. And we would like to be on top of that and help as many people as possible with the knowledge, with techniques, with equipment, with everything. And we just launched the Petzl Technical Institute in Russia. And the key thing is just to train people professionally how to use the equipment properly to minimize the risks for both for the people and in this case for the trees as well. We have special techniques, and we will. I'll finish the editing of this special dedicated to no harm techniques of tree climbs, prepared by Vladimir, and he's really the guru. And there will be the separate video, and we'll share that with you. Maybe some of you will just find it interesting, and maybe just.
Probably.
Probably. So it's all about that, and just to share the experience.
Right. I mean, you're really good at sharing the experience, but also it's like, I want to say it's not just a tree climbing video. It's really also like a video focused on conservation and how beautiful the forest is. So, you're doing a good job at showing both, like the beauty of the forest as well as.
Of course, it's all about that. In the end of the day, it's not about the gear.
Right.
Just use it properly and safely, but enjoy the moment, carpe diem, and
still do that. Yep. Really nice. I'm still looking at Facebook to see if your friend, if Eugenie is
Eugenie, but he just informed me over WhatsApp that he's got heavy rain with the thunderstorm, and that might influence the internet connection, unfortunately.
Let me ask him once before.
But maybe he already shared the link for the video with you.
Yes, like just the video that I showed you guys. I'm just gonna check. if he has another video that he wants to show. It's hard to like talk and type.
That's fun.
Before I have a really weird sentence going on there. What about you guys? Eric and Judah? Eric is really silent now, and Judah. I
Oh,
haven't seen
yeah.
him
I'm
for
just
years.
listening. Yeah, it's good stuff. Hey, Judah, what's new with you? We haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, there's a lot new with me. I've been over in Los Alamos, started working there in New Mexico. So I've been there all summer. Weather's been great there. I've been doing some tree climbing up there. I'm working on buying a property out there.
Oh, nice.
And I was thinking maybe we could do some events or some training or such. James always looking for places, trees or workshops, but I'm getting some acres in it. It borders a national forest, but there's lots of big trees. It's primarily ponderosa pine, and there's some aspen, but they're big trees, but the limbs are like just almost big enough to climb. Most of it out there, that whole area of Los Alamos, the limbs, there's very few trees that have big limbs.
Right.
Nice. So you're in New Mexico?
Well, I was in New Mexico till last week, and then drove to Dallas last week, and then now I just arrived back in Las Vegas. I'm at Dallas Air Force Base, so I'm here for a few weeks, and then I go back to Texas for training, and then I go to military deployment. In a few
Oh my God!
And
So
then,
you're getting deployed again?
and then I go back to Los Alamos. No, then I go to Dallas, and then I'll work on moving from Dallas to New Mexico.
Okay.
Did you
Just
already
wanted-
buy the?
I think if you guys are confused about my schedule, so am I.
Yeah.
Yes. Please just share your schedule online so we know where you are at all times, because I did not follow this.
I
Tell
don't
us
really
again,
know either.
did you already buy the property?
I think somebody a few days ago, I was talking to myself in Dallas, like, wait, so you live in Dallas? And I was like, yes, no, yeah, all the answers are correct. I'm almost on property. We're working on the closing right now, so.
Oh, is there a building on it? Is there a house?
Yeah, there's a small house, 1,300 square foot house.
Oh, nice.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's big for me. So yeah, New Mexico is close to Colorado, just so you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can kind of picture the area. Yeah. Ah, that's cool. Did you go climbing?
Which part of New Mexico? Where are you in relation to Albuquerque and Santa Fe?
Yeah, it's in between.
In between.
It's an hour and a half from both. An hour and a half from Albuquerque, an hour and a half from Santa Fe.
Sure.
Nice. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
jealous.
so once I get it, if you guys want to come visit and climb out, like I said, a lot of the trees, there's got to be some trees that can climb.
Totally.
The limbs are just a little bit thin.
Well, that's like a lot of these second growth redwoods we climb. I mean, the limbs are not that strong, but we gotta get the rope right next to the trunk, and they're good.
Yeah.
That's probably how it would be here. Yeah, if you just
Right.
how you set the rope is probably a safer way to do it.
And I mean, sometimes because I have that here at Harv's property as well, where I think like, oh, that seems like small, but then you're up there and it's really not, like they're good to go. And yeah, they're strong indeed, these evergreens, especially near the trunk. So yeah, just got to get up there and see, kind of, but while being safe. But
Yeah.
but yeah, that's nice though. I'm jealous. I wish I would have property somewhere here.
Oh, please,
What-
please send some pictures when you can. I love to come out there.
Yeah.
That'd be great. And maybe we could even do some type of event and hook up some zip lines or something, or because there's some acres and then it borders the national forest. So there's a lot of land we could really go explore on.
Right. Which national forest is it?
Santa Fe National Forest.
Oh, that's the one national forest I've not really heard of.
It's pretty close to Valles Caldera National.
Okay. Let me see.
So kind
Oh,
of
there's-
towards Hemes Springs.
Let me see. Do I have to zoom out? Zoom out. To all the square states.
That's very exciting. I love
Oh
New
yeah, that's
Mexico.
nice. That's a nice area.
Yeah, that'd be great to have you guys come out and climb.
Yeah, I mean, I just have to go down I-25. That's really it. I'm there.
Okay, yeah. Are you in Denver now?
Yeah, Boulder.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, still quite a drive, but not as bad as driving to San Antonio in Texas.
Well, maybe the guy that owns it right now, he lives in Boulder.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All
He's
the
gonna
rich
come-
people live in Boulder.
Yeah, that's what he is. This was his vacation home when he used to, and he's gonna come and just, I think he's gonna drive from or come from Boulder soon to go get some stuff, his stuff out of the cabin. So
Nice.
get to ride with him.
Right. That's, yeah. Cool though. Yeah, we'll just catch a ride. Just be like, whoa, need to go there too, dear landlord.
Need to go see the trees.
Yeah, indeed. But that's
Well, you
really
got lots
cool.
of nice trees in Boulder, I guess, but there's a lot more rules about climbing, right?
I mean, in Boulder itself, I don't know what to do about Boulder because like often I go biking on these trails, like, and there's a giant cottonwood, like giant, like the biggest I've seen so far in Boulder, like alongside one of like the multi-use trails. But I'm really afraid that if you're gonna try to like climb it, that like the first like cyclist will warn the first policeman they see and be like, you know, what's going on there. So it's really, I mean, I know like I've climbed a lot in like kind of city parks, like in Longmont and other places, not Boulder, but it was all because Harv kind of made those connections with Parks and Rec, and he would have like permission. So in Lafayette and Longmont, all these like little towns around Boulder. So I've done that a lot. Beyond that, climbing on Harv's property, and then near, what is it, Red Rocks, like near Morrison.
Oh,
There's like a little, I think it might be state park or state, I don't know what it is. It's not state park. It's like
so you can climb in these places?
I mean, people don't, you know, I think it's all about as long as people don't say anything to anyone. Like, but I mean, I did not dare yet to go climbing in like a very public kind of place in Boulder. But that's where all the big trees are, you know, they're in public. Because people like Boulder, because it's such a yuppie town, they made all these like recreational like trails, you know, along the creeks and wherever where the best trees are. But but you can go to other places. I don't know.
Yeah. How's your research going? Your projects great?
It's such a good question.
I guess because of COVID, has it made it hard?
I mean, you have been away for a while, but I was in Argentina, and I got stuck there. Like I went in February 2020. It was the idea to stay for a year, but then COVID hit. So I couldn't go to the field a lot. And then at some point I just couldn't leave. There were no flights. In the beginning, there were no flights. And there were flights again, but we decided that I could go because we're finding some permits. But it was all like, it's in this province. It's like ruled by like one governor, you know, for the past like 30 years, it's been the case. So he just like closes things. And so we were the worst province in terms of like restrictions. And then when I thought like, okay, I'm finally going to leave, then Argentina closed all their borders. So I got stuck for like another 3 months. So I just got back.
Just got back. And what research you were going to do there? What type of research were you going to do? What type of project in Argentina?
I mean, I did some. So I basically work with primates. Like we kind of know things about their diet, although I still have to analyze it. So with the little owl monkeys. But I was basically collecting trait data from trees. So like functional traits, I think they kind of determine whether or not species, can grow where they grow and live together. And then traits like nutrients in samples. But that part, like I had to drop a lot of parts because of COVID, because we were so restricted in time. And there were a few other things going on. Apparently people go a little bit crazy.
Were you just dealing with captive primates? Because there aren't wild primates in Argentina, are there?
Yeah, there are. We work with wild primates. Yeah. So I work in the Chaco. So in the Chaco, the Gran Chaco in Argentina, there are two primates. So we have the howler monkeys and then we have the owl monkeys, which are
Oh,
like
there's
little
howler
night
and owl
monkeys.
monkeys there? Is that
Howler
all the
and
way-
owl.
Is that all the way in the north, I suppose, closer to the Amazon?
No, it's like in the north. So we're not anywhere near the Amazon in Argentina. It's so like close to Bolivia and Paraguay, where there's
Okay.
this giant ecosystem called the Gran Chaco, which are basically like savannas and woodlands, kind of. So we work in like forests along the river,
But
mostly.
is it rainforest?
No, it's like a subtropical area. So
And there's
technically,
howler monkeys. Okay.
yeah, I mean, I think howler monkeys are like one of the most flexible, it's probably the most flexible genus in, the neotropics, because they
Okay.
kind of cheat. They're cheaters. They can eat leaves or they can eat fruits because they don't have, they deal with leaves at the end of their digestive system,
Mhm.
their cecum and colon. So they can bypass, if they need to, they can bypass that and just eat fruits. But if they're only leaves, they just, send the leaves into the cecum colon to digest. And so they're kind of like cheaters. They're like really flexible. So they're everywhere. I mean, they're still big, so they get hunted more. And they're diurnal, so they're easy to hunt. So yeah, I work there. There are also like other howlers, and then the same that we have in like Misiones, where Iguazu Falls are. And that's where you also have capuchins. And then there are actually capuchins all the way on the other side where the Andes is, and like in the Yungas, you also have capuchins, but no one studies those. So there are not many primate species. There are only like five or four. Yeah. So it's not a lot, but we do have primates.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. No one knows that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is that area relatively close to the Pantanal?
Yeah, I mean, what is relative? Yeah, so basically it's kind of weird because they call it the dry diagonal. So kind of at some point the Chaco goes over into like Chiquitano forest, and next to that is the Pantanal. And then kind of next to that, I always have to think, I think it's the Caatinga. And then if you go up more north, you get to Cerrado. So, and they're primates in all these systems. It's just that we are so focusing on primates in these tropical forests that we sometimes forget there's this entire giant part of South America that's not tropical forest, and that consists of like these kind of woodland areas. Right. So yeah, the Pantanal is a little bit weird because it's kind of like it's like near the dry diagonal, just kind of on the west side before. So yeah, it is much closer to here than where I was in Bolivia, for example. So yeah, it's a weird ecosystem. So yeah, it's not, yeah.
Are you working with the primate projects while you're in Boulder, or you're just compiling the research, or are there any primates to work with there?
Sorry?
Are there any primates in Boulder? Like any captive primates you're working with, or you're just working on your data?
No, I'm just working on my data now. I'm just like, because I've done enough for a PhD, I'm working with, so I got some data from like a database on functional traits. So I did ask for like additional data because I kind of have to supplement it and just piece things together now. And then I'm requesting, I have data from Planet, which has like satellite data. But I'm also requesting data from the European Space Agency because they have actually more detailed, like smaller, higher spatial resolution data with more bands. So I'm trying to, like, worldview data they have. So I'm trying to get that. So basically, because I also had a drone, but the drone had some mechanical issues, and like I couldn't fix it because you couldn't get to Buenos Aires, to the DJI store. You couldn't get any parts into the country. It was just shut down. And like, of course, I didn't know that. When I went, I was like, well, if something happens with the drone, I'm gonna go to the DJI store. I asked someone from the States to send something, and it was just impossible. It was all impossible. So I'm making up for that with like imagery from satellites and requesting that. The good thing is that because of COVID, all these companies are more willing to like share their data.
Yeah.
But No, so basically I'm just like trying to get those last pieces of like free data and then piecing things together and writing up. Because I just need to finish and then I can move on with life.
What are you going to do after that then?
That is the $1 million question. I don't know. Buy land in Colorado? No, I don't know.
I mean, I guess will you continue to work with primates? Do some primates?
Yeah, I mean, I do. Like, I do want to continue working with primates and forests, and like I really look at like the connection, because I look at it like a primate diet and ecology from like kind of a forest ecology perspective, which we really need, because like most primatologists don't do that at all. They just look at the primates and forget about the forest, you know. So I do want to continue, but at the same time, like there are no jobs in academia. So I'm trying to, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of ways, if there's a way to like make money and just do the project like on the side, you know, because I might be able to get like a data science job or something, instead of like trying to go into academia and like get money that way, you know.
Okay.
I don't know. I have no clue. It's really difficult.
You know, I was just talking with a friend that I connected through that article I made about with the Tree Monkey project about the orangutans and tree climbing for orangutans, and I put her in touch with James, because she's wanting James about with Tree Monkey project. She's working with orangutans and gorillas. And she's been doing a lot of work. She finished her postdoc. I think she's from Europe as well. She's from Germany. And
Who's this? Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I were introduced to Eric. I think it was just James. Isabel Lammer. Maybe I could introduce you to her if you just want any input or advice. She's not a tree climber.
She on the
and learning about it, because about the technique for rehabilitating orangutans, and we've been talking about maybe me taking her tree climbing, but you know, because of COVID, everybody, you know, wherever we're at.
She was on a recent group email about a job, right? There was a job
I
opportunity.
emailed Eric and her and Grit, I think as well. Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I
you
can
could go do that job. I think that wasn't really a highly educational skill job.
No.
The job is I qualified. There's two. I qualify in two ways. It said you have to be able to work like 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and you have to be okay to be isolated for long periods of time.
Well, that was pretty much the entirety of the qualifications you got.
Right? Yeah. I said okay. I mean, it's like running a small business, you know. And I don't mind being isolated. So.
Right. I mean, yeah, you can get me in touch. I do have to say, like the kind of the ape world, people who study apes is really different? Separate from like people who study other primates, and it's really frustrating, because there are only like 5 ape species, but I would say that most of the money is going to those, and they only represent like a fraction of the forest of the world. So to me, like I said, I come from forest ecology, and to me it's more about protecting the entire like community, primate communities, tree communities. And so sometimes they get jobs through these giant institutions like Max Planck, which has, you know, they have lots of money, but they're mostly focused on like evolution. And so they focus on apes. And it's just, I don't know. So I don't know.
And there's a lot more opportunities. There's a lot more funding goes to the big, not for the little monkeys.
Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, as a primatologist, like I find it very frustrating. Like sometimes money goes to things like, let's find out if a chimpanzee can left-handedly, you know, use a tool. And I'm like, I really don't care about this. Like, we should not spend any money on this, because, you know, you can study this, but like in 25 years, those chimps are gone. You know,
that's not going to save the entire forest.
Yeah,
you're looking at using the monkeys and saving the entire forest. You actually a lot of the ape research is just doing basic humanoid type human capabilities that they have, which is not save the entire forest.
Right, a lot of that, and then also takes a long time to study them. And you know, I'm all for like you know, saving what we can, you know, the same with the rehabilitation centers. But like, if you really know the situation on Borneo, you also know like it's almost wasted money to keep pouring money into that. That we often release these orang-utans into forests that, you know, a year later are going to be cut. So it's, you know, I'm more.
And I've seen that when I was in Borneo. I was like, oh, this is an awesome project. And this is really cool what we're doing with James and all, but I was like, what effect is it actually doing?
Right, indeed. So
it sounds really neat, but the actual end result effect is not that much, because you're right.
No.
If you save 5 orangutans and you fully rehabilitate them, and then you're going to put them into the forest and then they just will get killed. You know,
right. Those those problems in those forests are still there. They're still being cut. They're still being logged. They're still being transformed to like plantations. There's still fires because people don't take care of it, and then the peat swamp like just, you know, goes on fire. So so I'm more about the whole, you know, from the bottom up, like let's focus on the forest. What can we do, and so I wish there would be way more money available for these other primates, but there just isn't. Like, I mean, the only way there is.
You're saying if you save work to protect these other primates, that would protect more forest. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, even if you think about where like apes live, like only chimpanzees are widely distributed. Like gorillas, orang-utans, they're only like in very specific, you know, very small patches of forest. While primates, you know, the entire neotropics are just like discounting if you're focusing on apes, you know. And I'm not saying I understand where it comes from. It comes from our connection with apes, you know. It's much easier to give money to that, but you know, so I wish that sometimes would be like, okay, you know, we can do like ecological research, dietary research, whatever, conservation research on apes, but let's stop with pouring money into these little details that are not at the moment helping our world. You know, we're not going to save the forest by knowing if a chimpanzee can use a tool with his left hand. You know, I'm not, you know, and that happens, that research exists, you know. So yeah, it's like, it's difficult, but I'll see. So we need to spread like a wider net, basically.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
It's the challenges. How's the fires? And you're talking about the fires in Borneo. How are the fires in California? Or Eric, did those? I know they were going to the redwood forest.
Yeah.
Caused much damage, or what happened?
Last I heard, the giant sequoias they were worried about have survived, but the fires are still burning, and there's been some huge fires this year, and we haven't noticed it as much as in the Bay Area as last year, because last year we got all the smoke, we could barely breathe. This year the smoke seems to be going the other way, but it's still going on, and the giant sequoias are still threatened. They wrap some of them in giant aluminum foil at the base.
I saw that it said that the main, like the 4 up front survived, but of course, so the few biggest ones survived, but did they all survive, or did a lot of them did the smaller redwoods, did they get burned down, or, you know, if they survived?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard the last few days. I think they're okay. I think most of the damage happened last year, but you know, it's been a huge year for fires, and the main fire season is just starting. I mean, it's usually you get the really big fires in October.
Oh, okay. And that's also a concern, you know, the property I'm getting in New Mexico. And that's the main concern out there is, you know, it's not, I don't think the fires are they've had some big fires out there
right
in the past. So, you know.
I mean, it's something to think about. I've been looking a little bit for property in the mountains, you know, and when I go up there and look around, that's, you know, you smell the smoke in the air, and you kind of got to look at that. That's part of the environment.
Yeah. You buy a nice property with nice big trees, and you spent a lot of money on it, and then it all burns down, and you lost your property value.
Yeah. You know, on the other hand, maybe I can buy a place that has burned and help it to restore it. You know, and it's not totally destroyed
as well.
Yeah,
but it would take. Yeah, you could restore it, but to get the big trees would take a long time.
Oh yeah.
You could restore it. You could make it nicer for the long term, definitely.
Yeah.
You won't have anything to climb in our lifetimes.
We need that. We need the good climbing trees. That's for sure. So, yeah, but I'm glad you found something. You know, I'm sort of looking around every time I take a little trip. I look around and see what's there, but I haven't found the ideal place yet.
Are you only looking on San Francisco area?
Oh, within a couple of hours of San Francisco. So
Okay.
it covers the foothills and
Yeah.
the coastal hills, north and south. So the foothills are a little bit cheaper than the coastal areas. So it all depends.
Yeah. Would it be in addition to your home, or you would trade your home for that?
It'll be in addition. Yeah, I would. It would be, at least for starter, it'll be a second property. If I sold my house, on the other hand, I would have plenty of money to spend if I really made a big move.
That's what I was thinking. If you sold your house, you could get some nice big piece of land out. And
Yeah. I'm tempted to do that if the right thing comes up. So
yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go down to the Monterey Bay area in a few days and look at some trees, and that's one of my favorite areas. But then again, that's also an expensive area. So
Okay.
you know, it all depends.
Yeah. What else have you been up to, Eric?
Oh, doing some consulting, doing some teaching. You know, that's about it. And just sort of, I got all my traveling projects on hold, waiting for travel to open up again.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know when we'll get to have more expeditions and
Right. I mean, James and I were talking about, we were planning to go to Ecuador, and that's been put on hold pending everything else. So
yeah,
and then I got
about that.
Madagascar. I had a trip was postponed, and it's now scheduled for January. So if everything works out great, that'll happen in January. If not, we might have to postpone it again.
Okay. Oh, so that might happen. Okay.
Yeah.
So I actually, I should email you and James just in case, because I might. So I was supposed to go to this conference in Ecuador, which was in 2020, but of course they canceled it. But now they're definitely going ahead with the conference in January 2022. So I have to decide if I still want to go. Like, the strange thing is that the tickets are kind of cheap at the moment to Ecuador from here. I don't get it. But so I might go. So just so you know, if you guys are going around the time.
When is it?
I think it starts the 9th of January 2022 until the 15th, I think.
It's the primate conference?
Yeah, it's in Quito, but they're also, I don't know what they're gonna do, but of course they had like trips. Often, they're like we do with pre and post food, you can sign up for trips. And so they had a trip to planned to for Yasuni National Park, because one of the organizers, Tony De Fiori, studies primates at Yasuni National Park at Tiputini. The field station is called. It's a very expensive field station. So there were trips planned, but I don't know what they're doing about those. Those are still,
Right. Well, you can always plan your own trips out. I mean, now we have the connections through Vicky, and I have my own connections.
True. That is true. Yeah. So anyways, if once I decide if I'm gonna go or not, like, it's kind of weird because I just got back.
Right.
Kind of don't want to travel at the moment.
You don't want to get stuck there again.
No, I'm like
you
in
can't
my
do
head.
anything.
Right, it's definitely.
You said the
my
rules
head,
were
like,
really
what
strict there, right? Like you said you couldn't even leave your house and go outside, right?
No, we couldn't leave our house, and if you could leave
That's
your house,
crazy.
you couldn't leave your block. Like, half of the people employed in Formosa are policemen and women, so they are
Wow.
everywhere.
You couldn't even go for a walk outside.
No, most of the time it was prohibited. Like, at some point they would say, like, we would go out of phase 1, and then we would joke because it would be like phase 1.1. Now you can go outside for a walk, but it would be very specific. Like, you cannot run, or you can go on a bike ride, but it has to be a leisurely bike ride. You cannot sweat, basically, and stuff like that. Yeah.
What's the logic in that?
There's no logic in Formosa. There never has been. There is no logic in the place.
Timothy's still on. I wonder how it was in Russia. How was the lockdowns?
Timothy?
That's crazy what you had in in Argentina.
Yeah, I mean,
Most of that time, and
yeah,
still went and did whatever we did.
right. And that's why sometimes I got pretty frustrated, even at like GOTC meetings where people would be like, "Well, I climbed a tree," and I would be like, "Ah," it's nuts. And I was in Argentina to climb trees, and I can't even get out of the apartment I'm like.
How did you go to the
sharing.
store? How did you buy groceries?
Yeah, so that was the only thing you were allowed to do. They would ask you were allowed to, in your neighborhood, which is often like a 6x6 block radius, more or less, you're allowed to go to the groceries, to the store to get groceries, pharmacy, and the bank to get money. So it was kind of funny because like I couldn't get money out of like most, they have like the Formosa bank or like the Argentina bank, basically. I could not get money out of those ATMs. So I had to go like to an international bank, which was like that was like in the center of the city. And like they would literally stop me and be like, "Where are you going?" And then I would have to explain in Spanish, like, "Listen, I have this visa, I'm international, I can only get money there, like, please let me go." And like sometimes they just wouldn't. They just like turn around and like it's like, well.
Could you like here in the US, a lot of people figure, oh, this sucks, like, or they can't go anywhere, or they didn't want to go anywhere, and they think they're depressed or whatever or not, but they're ordering everything online. They're still buying everything they want and the delivery drivers are still going. Was that an issue? Because here you can still get everything and not leave home.
I mean, no, most things, there were just a lot of things you couldn't get at some point, indeed. But that was like after months and months. I would say after 6 months, they started to allow delivery. They have like a system, like an app, which is called Pedidos Ya. And so at some point, it started going, and then you could like ask people to go to the pharmacy for you or grocery shopping for you. Like you could do that at some point. So at some point, I just kind of like stopped. I didn't stop going to the supermarket, but it was like, well, one, no one has work. And like, so I would just like order things from different places and give people money, basically, kind of thing. So yeah, that sometimes helped. But also those were like really restricted because these spaces really weren't allowed to be open for a long time. Like, where you could get food. So yeah, I mean, the entire thing was weird. There were so many different like permits going on. So that's the funny thing. So I'm actually writing a little bit about that. That there was never ever a permit for research. They just shut down all research in the entire country. I think there's still not a permit for research.
Wow.
So it's you could get a special permit for like fishery or stuff like that, or agriculture, because they care about that. So sometimes you would kind of fake it. Like my assistants would get one of those and then be like, well, we're working for the Estancia. But it was a big fat lie. We're working in the Estancia, but we're not working for them. We're not doing agriculture.
The loss of jobs and companies going out of business is much more severe than it was in the US. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I would say when we're midway through, because that entire town is based on like small businesses, because Gildo, the governor, doesn't let any big businesses in. So there are only two big businesses. Coca-Cola, there's a Coca-Cola plant in the middle of the city, which is really weird. And there's something else, which I don't understand, but there's one other big business. He doesn't want big businesses. So the entire town is like this typical kind of Latin American town, and like money just goes from hand to hand. But like, yeah, I would say that, I mean, at least 25% of the businesses I saw disappear, basically.
Wow.
Like, they're just not. And that's why at some point I also just started like buying food from different like localities, just so people had some income. And they would all tell me this story, like, yeah, I don't know if I can open tomorrow. Like, it's just, I'd have nothing. Like, I have 2,000 pesos and that's it. There's no money coming in. So like a lot. And also like they still have every day, they have like a daily report, the local government. And like it's live streamed on Facebook. And it's really funny to go to it because you will have like half of the people saying like, "Oh, I love you, Gildo. Thank you for keeping us safe. Like, dear Lord," and everything, And then the other half is like, we're dying here. Like, we cannot work. We have no income. Like, what are you doing to us? So it's very, and it's just, they're not listening. And I'm kind of concerned about what's going to happen because they had elections. So they opened up some things for the elections just so people would vote for them. And I'm really worried that like in a couple of weeks, they're just going to close everything again, you know.
It's still all closed?
Most, like it's more open than when I left. It's been like, because of the elections, they opened a lot. Like all of a sudden you could do all sorts of things again. And we also joked often because, so they opened it with Christmas, for example. They opened like, so for example, the plaza, you could not go to the plaza. The plaza was just empty. Every single park, every plaza, the walk along the river, all closed. Just not allowed to go there. So it's very strange, right? Because like this town lives off these parks. Like all people go to the park to drink mate and hang out and have the children play. And they were just like empty, not allowed to go. And then, so this is what the government does. Like sometimes they want to please the people and they would open it up. So they did that for Christmas because they knew a lot of people would like otherwise protest. And then that was actually the first time COVID really hit town. And then it was just like a boulder they couldn't stop. So I do have this feeling like they did, like we went into strict like lockdown again in January, February, then again in March, then we were open again, then again in May. And so, but I had the feeling that by the time it was June, July, that basically the entire town had COVID because of just, there was no stopping it at some point. And the other thing is that they're really, like people were really afraid, you know, to get tested, for example, because they sent you to isolation centers. Like they actually, like, if you cannot prove that you can isolate yourself at home, you go straight to an isolation center.
And what is that? What does that mean? How does that, what's it like at an isolation center?
It's basically, it's mostly schools because like none of these children have gone to school in like 2 years, right? They're still not going to school. They're basically, most of the time they're set up in schools. It's just like the entire school filled with like cots basically to sleep on and some, you know, little separators between cots or beds. And so if you're sick and you can't isolate, they send you there. You're just being taken, like you're just being taken from your home by the police and poof, transported to the isolation center. And that's where you have to stay for 14 days or, you know, at least.
The police will forcibly take you.
Yeah, they will forcibly take you.
So it's like going to jail.
Yeah, yeah. Like going to jail where all the sick people are.
And they give you food?
They do give you food. That they do. I think there's some internet most of the time. Like also when you, like if you would travel for some reason, like it was really difficult and really expensive. But my friend did go to visit his girlfriend who lives like only 50 kilometers away, probably, but in another province. And so he did make the choice at that point in time. It was possible, but you would, when coming back, you would also have to isolate and you would have to go to one of those isolation centers. Like, so they were just there for 14 days. Luckily, none of them had COVID because they all came back from another province and none of them had COVID. But yeah,
they were packed in with everybody else that had COVID.
Yeah, that also happened. Yeah, that was just.
So they were more likely to get sick.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It made no sense. Yeah.
And then because I guess in the cot area, they're private, but when they go to the bathrooms are probably shared. Bathrooms
were apparently in a very bad state all the time, and they had to clean them. No one was cleaning them for them. You know, there were often no resources like paper towels or toilet paper around enough. And
they couldn't leave and go buy any. So how'd they?
No, they were locked up. You could not get.
So they didn't have toilet paper.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
they do.
Sounds pretty bad. I'm surprised if that's strict.
And that makes it more hazardous.
Yes.
To get sick amongst.
Yeah. Yeah. So people were clearly really afraid of those. So people would actually not get tested because once they got tested, the police would go to your house, check who else is there, check if you could isolate. And then most of the time, most of these people cannot, because they live with like 3 generations in one house. So at least some of them are being taken away to isolate. The other thing, if you had money, you could say, I'm gonna isolate, but I'm gonna like pay for a hotel. So there were like hotels, of course, had no business. The only business they had were people that had to isolate, were forced to, and then they had to stay at the hotel. But like, for example, one time, the mother of the guy I was staying with, like, came back home, and they split the apartment in two. So she was staying next door. She had a separate entrance. And so because she was an elderly woman, 65 plus or whatever, she was allowed. So elderlies were allowed to like isolate at home after coming back from another province. However, there was a police person, man or woman, like stationed in front of her house 24/7 for 14 days. Yeah. And like once I made the mistake of like walking on a little balcony because her dog had escaped into her house. Our dog had gone to her house, and I lost him. So I kind of went to check, and like I was walking, and as I was walking, I was like, oh shit, I am not supposed to be like near her. And like the police guy started yelling from below, like, why are you there? Why are you there? You have to go back like right now. And I was like, well, the dog, you know? And so, and like luckily he didn't like do anything beyond that, but they were like really strict. You were just not.
Did anybody get stuck in the isolation center for longer than 14 days? I mean, was it a concern that like you'll be long-term in an internment camp, or it was just, it's 14 days of jail and then you're done?
Yeah, I don't know anyone who got stuck longer. I do know many stories of people who were actually hospitalized, and then the hospital just decided that you were like okay and good to go and stay in an isolation center instead of at the hospital, and then they died because they weren't taken care of and they were actually not okay. So there were a lot of stories about that, like people just really afraid of even when you needed care to be sent to the isolation center and then dying there basically. And which happened. There were also a lot of people because they closed the province for so long, and like this is a province that borders Bolivia and Paraguay, and so a lot of them like work in Paraguay or Bolivia, but mostly Paraguay, and so they have like family on the other side of the border, or on the other side of the border with like another province, the Chaco it's called, that province. And like because they couldn't get in and they had been isolated for like almost a year or months from their family, some people tried to like cross the rivers, like either the Rio Paraguay or the one that goes between the Chaco and Formosa, and they died trying to do that.
Trying to cross the river.
Yeah, just to get to their family. So they would try to do that, which was illegal to do, of course, to get into the province. And they did try, and like a lot of them died in that way.
So with all those restrictions, did they get it under control, or is it just as bad?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think so. For a long time, they kept COVID out of the province, especially out of like Formosa capital. It was a little bit in Florinda, which is close to Asunción, which is the capital of Paraguay. So for a long time, almost for like 9 months, basically, they kept it out of Formosa. But then it kind of started with with like Christmas and New Year, when they kind of lifted some restrictions and people started gathering. And so my theory is really is that everyone got it, because like there were so many people, like also my friends who did not get tested because we're afraid of this isolation centers. There were lots of cases, like kind of in March, April, May, June, there were lots of cases, tons of cases, just didn't stop, So in my mind,
a lot of people died.
Yeah, a lot of people died. And
so you say everybody got it. Do you think that goes for the whole country or just that province?
No, like this province, because it's a small province with, it's a big province, like relatively speaking to like the Netherlands, but with a low amount of people, and most of them are in Formosa capital, where like in the main city where I was. And it just went so fast. Like at some point, it was just like all my friends had COVID. Like they joked about that I was like patient zero because I was sick. My roommate was sick. Then all of my assistants got sick. And so, but I tested negative. Also, like to test, you'll often have to wait like in line for like 2-3 hours in the sun. And then
you got sick, but you tested negative?
Yeah. So I think I tested like too early.
So like, you didn't have to go to the center. So that's a good thing.
Yes, I didn't. Yeah, so that was a good thing. But
why did you get tested?
Huh?
I think why did you get tested if you were going to maybe get sent to jail?
Because I wanted to be responsible, because I was working with other people, and I didn't want to like not get tested and like be sick and then start working with people again, thinking like I'm not sick, I didn't get COVID or whatever.
But I thought you weren't working. I thought you were stuck in your room the whole time.
Right. So once in a while, so it was really weird because once in a while we would be able to get like a permit. Like I would have to go like to the local police station to beg for a permit, and then they would sometimes get like fake permits. But it was every time it was like phase 1 was strict lockdown. It would be like phase 1 for like 5 or 6 weeks, and then we would be open for a week, and then it was like lockdown again. So that's how I would go all the time. So I would like try to, every time we're out of phase 1, I would try to get permits as fast as possible, and I go to just, so my data is like, a week in February, a week in April, 2 weeks in June.
Yeah.
That's how it went. It's still like, you still couldn't get out of the city or past a checkpoint without a permit. So it was, as a regular person, basically, I got a little bit lucky that I was like the only foreigner basically that was begging for a permit. So they just knew me at the one police station where they would write me a permit. But yeah, it was it was a little bit crazy. But so I think that at that point when it was really bad, I think most people either got it, or some people had like 1 doses of the vaccination, because they also ran out of vaccinations. So they decided to vaccinate everyone once, until the point where the first people like were hitting like those 3 months and they had to give a second doses. So that's what they did. And now they don't have enough vaccinations of the same, so they just like mix things, so you can get one of Pfizer and like one of AstraZeneca, and then you're good to go, that kind of thing. So I mean, it's a mess. It's really hard to describe. It's like, I've been there before, I've lived there before in that town, and it was like like a ghost town most of the time. And people just, at some point people were just angry all the time, because they couldn't do anything. And then sometimes it was like all open, and then the cases would like rise a lot, or all open, they would be lenient, and then the cases went up so much that like within a week they would close again. It's like, why can't you find a middle way, a middle ground? Why aren't you listening to these other countries that have kind of in between measures? But it was either like everyone stayed home, or all of a sudden you could gather again, and like everyone got COVID, they would lock it down again.
Did the kids do remote school, or they haven't been in school at all for 2 years?
They do remote school, but like one, they already have, they don't go to school like the entire day, like in the Netherlands. So they either go in the morning or the afternoon. That's their system, because they don't have enough teachers or resources to give everyone like a full day of education. So it's either morning or afternoon you get schooling. And then apparently what they did, what I heard, is that they kind of gave 1 or 2 hours like online they would gather. But I talked to a lot of people, and they were all like, yeah, these teachers have no clue what they're doing. They're just like, they just give a lot of homework to everyone, and they're basically not teaching. So people had like a little bit of money, they would started hiring like tutors to actually then teach their children instead. So and then and I think I don't know, it was not for the youngest children. The youngest children just didn't go. So it's up till now, when I left at the end of August, there wasn't a single school that was open. Nothing.
Wow.
And it is kind of weird, because at the same time, these schools are pretty well spread throughout the city. And they're really easy. It is really funny on Google Maps. They're really easy to spot, because they all built them in the same way, and they all have blue roofing. I don't know why, but they all have blue roofing. They're really easy to spot on Google Maps. They're like everywhere. So it's not even like it would be that dangerous, because children only have to walk like a couple of blocks through their own neighborhood to get to the school. So people could like remain in their own neighborhood. There really isn't that much movement going on, but no, they just, and there's like no support from the government, really, not. And the other thing is like, we are so used to technology, but they had never heard of Zoom or like a learning management system for the university. So all these, even like my friend is at the university, it's more like community college, like they was the first year they ever heard of things like Canvas or Blackboard, and they had to like buy into that, and it was a whole mess. And so it's just no. It's pretty sad. Like I actually wonder what happens like with these children who just basically didn't get an education for 2 years and didn't see any sort of nature in 2 years, you know?
Yeah, that's a long time for a kid, man. That's forever.
It's a long time. I just saw parents just kind of like just letting go. Just children were just playing in their on their patios or whatever they have, you know, for space. I didn't really, yeah.
Mm.
So it's not, and it's like it was really difficult. No, not difficult to understand because I do know Formosa really well. But you know, I'm from the Netherlands. My nephews went back to school in May 2020. So it's so
More
hard.
about all these long-term effects, you know, lifelong effects that these type of things are going to have on so many people, large
Right.
population.
Right. That's what I'm really worried about those long-term effects, you know, especially for like the children, these generations are just not. But also the people, like I said, like it's really long, like that's what I'm kind of writing one chapter about a little bit. It's a really long time to basically be without nature for like, you know, 2 years. Like you can't even go to the plaza, you know? That is like, you know, and these are not, you know, Boulder's a green city. I can go outside and there are trees everywhere. But these cities, they're not built to be green. They're just built they're just people that like aggregate, you know, and build little extensions to their houses. And it's just a gridded system with just like houses everywhere. I mean, not nice houses, but some are nice. So it's not like they have like nature like in the backyard. They just don't. If you can't go to the plaza or, you know, the river, there's no nature in your life at all. You know, so I'm kind of worried about that. But yeah, the only good thing they have, I would say, is their social life, because they do live with extended families often in a house, or like it's more often they're more like complexes of houses where it was like one tiny house and then building things. So
they're not isolated.
Yeah, they're not that isolated. Like they're not as isolated as a lot of like Dutch people were, or like Americans were in their own little apartments, you know.
Didn't talk to anybody in person.
Yeah, I would say that's the only like pro kind of being isolated from the country. That they do have each other, but yeah, it also means if one person has COVID, then you get the whole issue with.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I gotta get off and go see somebody, but nice seeing you, Judah. Stay in touch.
Yeah,
it's nice to see
And
everybody.
Greta, I'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon. Sorry.
Yeah, and Timofey, nice talking if you're still there, and hopefully we'll be in touch.
All right. Yeah, I guess I'll.
Goodbye.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye.
All the best.
All the best.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Get more information later. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Great. Nice to meet you, Timothy.
Yeah, Judah, are you gonna be in touch with the GOTC?
I can be somewhat involved. Yeah. I guess. Well, what's going on with the website?
Yeah, I wanted to like ask you. I just ask you if you. So what's going on? I don't know if Timothy's still here. I should kick him out. Timothy, can you? I don't know. You can listen. I don't care. So what's going on? So we had that website that John was developing, but that one kind of So what happened is that John at some point said like, I don't want to do this anymore. And you know this, right?
Yeah.
So then we got Nick Hatch, and so he developed an entirely new WordPress, because I think John just tried to kind of copy the old sites, and in some way it was linked. I don't know. I heard all sorts of weird stories. So Nick just started from scratch with WordPress, and honestly, like it's a really, really nice site. Like it's really modern, big pictures, big shout outs, big messages. Like he did a really nice job to like kind of set up the skeleton. But then at some point, Nick disappeared a little bit from communication. And I mean, it's not weird because most of these tree climbers do during summer, you know, it's kind of how it goes. So I wasn't that surprised and I wasn't worried. And so but then at some point people were like, we have to finish this, and like they tried to get in touch with him and he didn't respond. And so I was a couple of weeks ago, I was like, okay, let me email, because normally he responds to me. So I emailed and I suggested that I finish it with him. So basically Eric, so I asked Eric if he could take over some of my tasks, because Eric doesn't want to, or thinks he cannot like learn WordPress. But really what like Nick needs is like a little team that knows WordPress and that can focus on like the big things, like what needs to be there, just fill it in basically. Because Nick really gets like bogged down by little things like security details and, you know, little WordPress like technical issues or whatever. So we just need, you know, people that create the content. So I basically made a deal with him where it's like, okay, I'm gonna give most of my presidential tasks to Eric, and then I was like, Nick, let's set aside like 1 or 2 months and we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna get it done. I will learn WordPress, like I'm pretty good at learning things, programs. So I will learn WordPress and we will get it done. You know, and I could probably ask like John, you know, to just do like A, B, and C, because John is not unwilling to help. He just can't be in charge, you know, but you can ask him to do a few things and he will do it basically if it's really, you know, limited. And then Nadia kind of like wanted to help, but then she kind of backed out of that during the last board meeting. So I've told her that she's not allowed to help. She just has to focus on the rendezvous because, you know.
Yeah, that's a big project itself.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a big project just because they have to clean up the entire site, which I was not aware of from the beginning, that would like take so much time. So, so yeah, so that's basically the plan, that in the next couple of months, probably, I'm just going to work on it with Nick as much as I can to just get it out there, because we now have these 3 websites, none of them work, basically, you know. So it's kind of getting ridiculous, and I think it's really bad for morale, basically. This is just this thing that's hanging over our head. So yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, that's the story. And then once it's up there, it'll probably be up there in like the most minimal form that we can put on the internet. And then probably it still needs like updates and, you know, maintenance, of course.
But then it's not so nice if we lost all of the prior data, you know, the historical information and old pictures and old events. You know, it's nice to people to look and see everything we've done in the past. I think that's the advantage of having a nice new clean website, very streamlined. You know, it's very nice and clean, but I think there's a lot of value in all the older information and the articles. There's a lot of technical articles and information. There's a lot of really good content that's out there that would be unfortunate to lose.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to lose it. And I actually want to talk to Nick about, I think I've suggested it before, where we actually should find a better way to have all those articles that were in newsletters on our website. Because actually now it's really hard to search for them, because it's like really this kind of hidden link where you can find the old newsletters, for example. And we just have to pull some of that out and like keep the best stories like in a more centralized location. So like Nick wants it as well. I don't think we're planning on like getting rid of everything, but it needs to be like reorganized, you know. Like, you know, there also needs to be a place for new stuff, because there is new stuff and there are new people from the other side of the world, and you know, they need a space as well, basically. But it is still going to be a lot of work, but at the same time it needs to get done, because the old website is just, there's so many things on there that are just like incorrect or not working or obsolete, and it just confuses people. It confuses me.
Yeah, but I agree that you need one website, not 2 or 3. Yeah, have the one. I guess maybe that's the way, you know, we keep all the, you know, still have in not the online archive, but have all the old content on the old website, but take the old website down, but we still have all that data. It's just not published. Put Nick's new website up there, maybe even as is or almost as is, even if it's bare bones. So, but it's accurate. You get accurate, but bare bones, put Nick's up there, take the others down. And then just as time goes on, add all the old stuff back.
Yeah. I think that's
That'd be fine. Because we don't want to have more and more website up online.
No,
that's not that at all. It's not proper procedure at all. You launch a new website and take the old ones down simultaneously.
Yeah. So that's the idea. So the idea is this for me and Nick and whoever wants to help to just get it ready to the point where it's like, okay, this is something we can now put up. We know it's not going to be the end result or complete, but something that's more accurate than the previous website. And and we will, and with the whole newsletter and all the stories, we just have to find a good way of putting that on there. We don't want that to get lost at all.
Yeah, but as long as we still have it on our personal computers, you can just add it later.
Right.
Just get it up there, the new one.
Right. And then some of that, I guess, because we always worked in MailChimp, it's all there somewhere. Like some of that, what I try to do is for people to use GOTC accounts, because some of that gets stuck on like personal computers of people we never see again,
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to make people like, okay, upload your stuff that's important because you may not be here in 2 years from now and someone else might need it. So that is that's going to be one of the challenges. But I mean, I think I can get it done with Nick or something that's good enough to like, to flip those websites, take one down, put the other one up. But I mean, if you at any point in time like have time again, then, and you want to help.
Keep me updated on the emails. Like mentioned, I'm just now starting this military deployment and still trying to work part-time at my other full-time civilian job simultaneously.
How many jobs do you have?
I don't know. I'm not teaching geology this semester unless I teach one of the classes that starts in a few weeks.
Jesus. Where do you
I got so much going on. But at least you can keep me updated on the emails and if at least provide some input or if I can do something here and there, maybe kind of like John.
I will keep you updated. Like perhaps like what would be simple, but what often helps is when people kind of like review things that are there, as we're like
maybe like you said, like help populate the old information.
Yeah. And help us like think about, if once in a while we ask you like, can you please review the website as it is now, so you can kind of say like, I think that this is missing. I think this information is wrong or whatever, or this should be somewhere else because it doesn't make sense.
I can help look at stuff and do stuff like that. Yeah, keep me updated about that.
Yeah.
And I think the big thing is, especially like when John was working on it, like he was so worried about all the little details, like and and then worry about like liability type stuff, and then worried about, well, does the board approve? And then with Nick, and there was a lot. Well, can we do this? I think it just, and especially if you're involved in, and then are we going to have to send it for board approval? And then I think the big thing John was trying to do was develop whole new content. He wasn't just trying to make a website. Like he was trying to define what's the mission of the GOTC. That was a major problem. Is that, and he's like, well, we have to know the mission of the GOTC so we can know how do we want to design the website. So he spent all this time making a whole new mission basically on his own. And then okay, now we need to get approved by the board, and that's a whole nother. That's completely out of the scope of the website. I think a lot of what we need to do is just put the website up there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Get it online. Don't worry. Does it need board approval? And you're the president, so if you're working with it directly, you can say, okay, I gave it approval. If Eric's looking at it, Eric's the old wise guru. He's
right.
With him, we just put it up there, and then the website's dynamic. If people don't like it or the board looks at it and says, well, that's wrong, well, then we change it. Then
Yeah, I agree. We actually like kind of someone brought this up during the last board meeting. I don't know who it was. Someone said like, well, but this is difficult because like things need board approval and blah blah, and that's what John was waiting for.
Don't worry about all that.
No, I was like, that's why we have a website committee. You're free to design it as you want to, because, for creatively, you can go in a million different directions, and it doesn't make sense to have board approval for all these things. You just create it, and then once you have sort of a product there, then we can go through it, and then we can be like, okay, this maybe not, or this yes. Or if there's something really, really specific and you're really afraid of liability issues, yeah, then you can ask for board approval for that, but not for when you're just creating this product, you're just creating it. You don't need other people to give approval to things.
No.
It's not fine yet. So
let whoever's in charge of the website basically be a dictator.
right, basically, yeah, just let them do it. Let them do it until they say like, we have a product. Then it's like, okay, now we can look at it and see if there's anything, you know, so terribly wrong with it, you know, that we need to change that part. Like, and then, so I explained it kind of, and then everyone was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense. But like, some people were kind of in the John realm, you know, thinking in that way, well, the board this, the board that, the board blah, blah. I was like, no, that's why we have a committee. The committee does it.
About the board,
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, if there's something blatantly wrong, then you can look at it. And then even if it's something, you can always revise the website.
Right, indeed, you can always revise. So that's what we're kind of at. That's what we're trying to do, or what I'm going to try to do with Nick, hopefully.
Okay.
Like he said, he has the time, and he'll say, you know, I kind of said, like, if I am involved more, then it's easier for me. It's easier for me than it is for him to ask a few people like, hey, can you do like A, B, and C? You know, he doesn't have that connection. I also just don't think he's that kind of person. But, you know, so that's also, I'm a little bit worried now because I mean, I do have to like write my dissertation at some point. So, but hopefully if I can kind of like, you know, Eric is good at the presidential stuff. He's more straightforward than I am. So he will get that done. And if I can just kind of forget about all of that, then I can think I can focus. But
okay, yeah, keep me updated and I can help out as I can.
Great, that's awesome. I'm gonna do that though. I don't care if you're in Afghanistan or whatever, Las Vegas.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Good. Okay.
Right.
Well, are you gonna go to the rendezvous in Florida?
I would really like to, but I think that's when I'm going to be on deployment. So I'm going to be out of the country.
Okay. Well, then let's go climbing another time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be a rendezvous in September time, around that time next year, or this is the February one is taking that place instead?
Oh, yeah. So the April one in 2022 is the only one we're gonna have in 2022.
Okay.
But we'll probably like collaborate with the BCC again, because I mean, part of that was clearly like, I was like, we cannot have an entire like virtual view again. We just don't have the manpower. And also it's really weird to do this in the same month as the BCC.
Yeah, it is,
yeah. So I suggested like to the BCC, like let's just collaborate every year, because we don't want to hurt each other. You know, we should help each other.
Yeah.
So,
have like a mini rendezvous coincide with BCC and let people meet up and
right. So with a little
BCC
bit
in person.
Yeah. So with a little bit of luck, we can get like general liability insurance. I don't know, it might be very expensive, like for the year, annual.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, it would be much easier to be like to a couple of like GOTC people, hey, just have your local camps, you know, you're covered under our general liability insurance, just do it. And then it can be, like a BCC, you know, camp out, but perhaps with like some bigger like local GOTC camps.
Yeah, that's why I think that's a good way to let the Atlanta people go meet up together. The same
the Washington folks.
20 people get together and just kind of informally climb together.
Yeah. I think that might happen. And then I think the next rendezvous is going to be in 23, of course. And I think that might be South Korea.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of just because I don't know if you have followed Seesaw.
Yeah, I was going to meet her when I went to South Korea. We almost met up, I think, and I helped put her in touch with Eric, and we were all coordinating.
Cool. Yeah. So I mean, they're very good and they're so organized.
Yeah, that would be great. I don't. Assuming there's no COVID, I don't think there'd be many people from the United States traveling there.
No. So
I mean, it would be offered to anybody, but That's just assuming that COVID is completely done with. If COVID's still even around, or if it means still any COVID precautions, and that's going to be a major challenge.
Yeah. So what I told, or what Eric is going to do now, he's going to contact every person who has said in the past year that they might want to organize a rendezvous at some point, because a lot of people through the survey said, like, I mean, not a lot, like, 2 hands full basically, said like, oh yeah, I would like to organize a rendezvous at some point. So we're gonna contact them to see if any of them wants to organize one in 23 as well. If not, and it's really just Seesaw, then we kind of have to go for Seesaw.
I think that would actually be great to do, even if that's the only one. I think that actually kind of would be good if that's the only one, because as was brought up in the Northern California rendezvous a couple of years ago about doing it in Europe, and then there were people complaining that they're not going to leave the States, but then there are also people saying this is called international organization, yet every rendezvous we're doing is in the US. So we're basically a US organization, and we're calling ourselves international. If we're a truly international organization, we're calling that's what we want to be. I think that we should have our rendezvous and our only rendezvous in a location other than the United States.
Yeah.
If we did it in South Korea and we did another one in the US for the US people, well, then we're not real internet.
No, we're not international.
Doing it in South Korea and that's an event. That's signifying, yeah, we're an international organization. Even if no US people come, well, we invited them, and it's they come, they don't come. They come.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I can like, if other people have other proposals, the only thing I can see happening is that we push South Korea to 2024. And we try to get, for example, a view in like Europe in 23, or I don't know, Canada, whatever. I don't know. But yeah, no, I agree. And I told Seesaw, I was like, part of this is going to be like, some of these Americans will not go, or they don't want to fly, or they just don't want to go out of America, basically. I was like, that's what it is. But that's why we can help you. And we should really build over the next like year, like our network in Asia. Because what you really want is people from Japan, Australia.
Yeah, that's where you could get people,
Singapore, to like show
get a couple people from the US, but try to get the people that are more by. Yeah.
That's and probably Europe, because Europe is so much closer, it's such a different flight to get to like South Korea that you can
probably. If you did Europe, there'd be more people from the United States would go to Europe.
Yeah, true.
Going to South Korea, that's a big deal.
Yeah. So those are some of them. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Keep me updated. We'll see.
Yeah. Stay in touch. Sometimes you disappear for long periods of time.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Yeah. It's good talking with you.
Good talking with you too.
All right.